When you meet a client and they're telling you their story, what tells you this is a good asylum case and this is a bad asylum case?
Well, good and bad, it's bad that they suffered. It's good for the case.
Well, okay, so let's define it. Good for the case.
Yeah, good case
yes.
is they've suffered past persecution, and persecution is defined as more than merely harassment. So, a lot of very unacceptable conduct might not rise to the level of harassment. We have all kinds of case law, and there's a back and forth in the Ninth Circuit between Guo and Gu, but Guo was only hit 7 times with the rod. And anyway, you get into it and you try to distinguish your client's case. But if they were past persecuted, if they were detained, if they were beaten, all of that can rise to the level of persecution. And a good thing about building a persecution case is that it can be in the aggregate, right? So he was hit with the stick a couple of times. Oh, but the case in Ninth Circuit Gu said that's not enough. Yes, but the next day the same thing happened. And the next day the same thing happened. And psychologically they can also consider that, right? So anyway, that's going off on a persecution tangent, but that is a strong case because if they were persecuted in the past, it creates a presumption of a well-founded fear of persecution, and the government has to rebut that presumption, have to prove that there's been changed circumstances in the home country, et cetera, et cetera. However, it does not mean that if the client was not persecuted that they can't get asylum. Either nothing happened in the home country yet, or they were harassed and they were threatened, but it doesn't rise to the level. But they can still claim a well-founded fear if they continued engaging in the behavior which created the harassment in the first place. For example, we do a lot of cases from China, right? If you're a religious practitioner in China and you refuse to go to the Sanzi Jiaohui, Sanzi Jiaohui is like the government-sanctioned church. And people are like, this is not, I want to go somewhere else. And they found what's called the Jiajing Jiaohui, the family church. And the family churches are underground. Like they're not sanctioned by the government. They're not sanctioned by that church. And if you're discovered, you can be arrested and more, right? So in a case like that, even if nothing happened, or maybe the police barged in at one time and took their IDs, not persecution, but they're like, I'm afraid that something's going to happen. They came here, they continued worshiping zealously and fervently and attending church and contributing to the religious community because of what they're doing here. And because that can also be ascertained by the Chinese government, their behavior here contributes to the possibility of a well-founded fear, and then that previous harassment becomes relevant in the equation. So I don't reject cases just because they weren't beaten half to death in their home country. I see the totality of the circumstances and whether or not their current behavior will give a rise to that well-founded fear.
So we talked about religion. What are other big categories?
Let's go to the original definition, right? When people say asylum, they usually call it political asylum. Because of your political opinion, did you go up against the party? Did you denounce corruption? Were you persecuted because of it? Were you detained? Or are you afraid that those things are going to happen to you because of it? Political opinion, religion, race, nationality. And then the last one is a member of a particular social group, and that's where lawyers come in. Right? That's where we get to argue. That's how I won a case for a young Mexican man. He came when he was 3, totally American. He spoke Spanish, but totally American, kind of like the rap culture. So he would like talk to you like this, and and I'm just seeing him talk like this, and I'm like, you're gonna stand out like a sore thumb. The way you walk, the way you talk, right? He speaks Spanish with that accent. The way he speaks English is like, orale, this guy, he just came from the other side. He's probably has family over there. Let's kidnap him for ransom. And so my particular social group was Americanized Mexicans.
Wow.
And I won it. Again, it's one of those Hail Marys in front of 9 other judges. Maybe they'll say, yeah, I like it, right here. But this judge, he went for it. He's like, this is a unique argument. But the reports and the expert affidavit and everything you presented, I really believe that there's an enormous chance that this man would be persecuted. That's where the lawyers come in, a particular social group. Right. I won one for Chinese women unable to bear a son. That is the one where you can really get creative as a lawyer if the case doesn't necessarily fit into any clean box, but there's something compelling about it.
What does it mean to file an affirmative asylum case versus a non-affirmative asylum case? Like, what's the difference?
Big difference. So affirmative is I come to our shores, whether that's ship, airplane, or, like the Chinese say, 走线, I walk the line, right? I come in through the border, coyote, kai kai, like we say in Brazil, right? However it is that you come here, you've landed on our shores, and you were not caught by immigration. you didn't turn yourself in, it didn't catch you, whatever it was, you came in here through your visa, however it was, and you affirmatively decide to apply for asylum to the United States. They have no idea where you are. So essentially you're like turning yourself in, you're saying, here I am, and I want your protection because of reasons A, B, and C. That's affirmative. That goes to USCIS. You will get a receipt. You will be able to file your work permit after 5 months of filing that application. You'll get that within a few months, and then you will be put in line to have an interview. And the interview could, I would say the past few years, it could be either really quick or you'll get stuck in limbo. It's one of the two. But that's affirmative. It's with USCIS and you wait for the interview. Defensive is when you are placed in proceedings. If you are caught by immigration coming through the border, if you enter in whatever visa or not visa, and you're caught working, whatever it is, and oops, and I am defending myself, and as a defense, I am raising asylum as a defense. If you don't pass the USCIS interview and then you're placed in removal proceedings, yeah, that's also a defensive asylum because you raise it as a defense, but it's much better that you raised it before. It's definitely not because you were arrested. So that's one thing that the government doesn't have against you.
And there's a 1-year requirement. You have to file asylum within 1 year of entering the country, right?
So yes, usually it's within 1 year of landing on our shores, but there's always exceptions. One exception is a change in personal circumstances. That could be, so some of our clients became religious. Some of our clients came out of the closet. Or there's something that happened in your country that now makes you afraid of going back. For example, this crazy political party took office and you had been critical of them for many years. Now you're going to go back and guess what? They're going to make an example out of you, right? The Chinese call it, what is it? Kill the chicken and make the monkey watch. Right? I like that example. Yeah, so I can't go back now. I've been bad-mouthing these guys for years. That's a change in circumstance. Or if you, for example, if you're here on an F1 and you're afraid of going back, so you never went back, but you're here doing your bachelor's and your master's and for years and years and years, and you never file until your OPT is about to run out, and then you file. They can accept that because it's called extraordinary circumstances. You had status, and so the law says you shouldn't apply for asylum until you really have to. And so you were studying. Yeah, you were afraid, but you didn't go back. You were studying, you were fulfilling the terms of your visa. And then when really you had no other choice, you filed, right? We don't recommend it because there has been pushback. At the end of the day, we can win it, but there's pushback. But anyway, if the student didn't know, that's an argument we can make for them. Or for example, the person had an accident or a loved one died, and they were so depressed, they were so distraught that they couldn't even pay their own bills, let alone see if I'm eligible for political asylum. Things like that, they can all go into the 1 year exception analysis and argue that, can you please consider this person despite them being outside of 1 year?
How do you build your team? What are good paralegals? What skill sets do they need to have? What do you see in a really good paralegal, an account manager, in an asylum attorney?
Anybody can learn the law and they can learn procedure, but they can't learn compassion. For asylum, that is a must. You have to care about your clients. You have to care about their stories because you're going to have to be patient in sitting with them. And sometimes these clients with trauma, they can get stressed out about different things. So you have to be compassionate. You have to be creative. You have to be a fighter. You can't just roll over. Oh, but the judge says this, so I guess we can't do anything now. I'm like, did you look at the case law? Forget what the judge says. Oh, but he cited this Ninth Circuit case. Read the case he cited. He is cherry picking. We're going to do the same, right? So compassion, creativity, and that fighting spirit, you got to have it both as attorneys and as paralegals handling these cases. And I think the bad ones are the opposite. I think I just mentioned. They don't really care. It's just a 9 to 5, a 9 to 6, or whatever. You have this story of, oh, I've already seen these stories 100 times. Well, maybe, but that's that client's only story, right? So we got to treat it with that kind of respect.
The hard part is not being compassionate or wanting to good. It's how to stay good, how to stay compassionate when you do all the good, but the clients do not appreciate and they badmouth you.
Oh man, okay.
Right?
Now I'm really gonna start sweating. Okay. Okay. So something that keeps me going is always the victories and the reputation that we've built. That one client who got upset, maybe they were right or wrong, but they got upset and they left that 1-star review on Google, whatever. I can't let that ruin everything else, right? People need our help. We're extremely good at what we do. It would be a shame if we allowed that to go down the tubes because of something that somebody said. We can't afford to let it happen. Yeah, and the wins keep us going. And now it's hard, and with Trump and everything, but the wins are still coming. They're harder, but they come. And so when they come, you got to celebrate your wins.
Right.
And you got to recharge the batteries. And if you like going to the batting cages, make sure you go. And you like, lifting the weights, make sure you go. Here's what ICE is doing, guys, okay? And so here's something new, right? Before, the only client I ever had who was in affirmative proceedings, who was waiting for USCIS, and who was placed in removal proceedings was a client who committed a crime. And I made a big stink to the judge. I'm like, no, but he's in USCIS, whatever. And he's like, but they have the discretion to do it. And there was nothing I could find in the law to argue against it, right? Okay, so it's just a matter of practice.
Yeah.
They allow people to go through the asylum process, and then only if they commit a crime or if they get referred, then they're in removal proceedings. Today, ICE has unprecedented pressure to arrest the highest number of people possible. So they're going after anybody, because the proportion of immigrants with criminal records is low, right? So I got to get other people. So who's easy? Asylum applicants, right? Why? Because asylum applicants don't have legal status. They have an authorized stay. Okay, you apply for asylum, you get the receipt that says you are authorized to stay in the U.S. You got a work permit from the U.S. government, you think you're good, and before you were good if you saw ICE. ICE was like, oh, you're with you. Why am I going to waste resources on you? Good luck with the interview, right? But now they're getting you. Why? Because they can and because they need to. Why? Because you don't have legal or lawful status here, just an authorized stay. So anyway, if people ask, oh, but I don't know why this person got picked up. They had a pending asylum. That's why, because they need these numbers and because they can.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Good job.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Great attorney, guys.